The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. It is Thursday, January 9th. Big slate of games today in the NHL. I'm your host, Andy McNeil, joined as always by Daily Faceoffs, Nick Martin. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yeah, got off the schneid a tiny bit last night, so
I did not.
we'll take it and we'll move on.
I had the one bet that in the game that was postponed in the Flames and Kings game, so that one was a no-go there. Of course, I mean, bigger things at stake, obviously, with the fires in Los Angeles, and thinking about everybody there, hoping everybody's safe and healthy. Obviously, just a devastating situation there. So hockey is definitely not on the top of the priority list there, and I was happy to hear that the game was going to be postponed. Probably saved me from another loss based on how things are going lately.
They play on Saturday. If you really want to get that bet in, the Kings and Flames play again on Saturday, or will play a matchup on Saturday. I'm going to go to.
Is that the rescheduled game, or was that already
No,
scheduled?
that's in Calgary.
Okay, great. All right, I'll keep that in mind then. But I did my only bet last night. Cale Makar over 3.5 shots on goal. He had 5 shot attempts. 4 of those were unblocked. None of those hit the net in almost 30 minutes of ice time. Pretty frustrating. So yeah, that's just the way things have been going lately. But we'll have another chance to turn things around here today. And I think we should start with a big matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, Edmonton going for their 5th win in a row, their 3rd straight road victory, while Pittsburgh is looking to avoid losing their 5th game in a row here. So yeah, two teams going in opposite directions. Edmonton hasn't fared all that great this season as big money line favorites on the road. They have been really good on the road overall. But they're 1-3 as the big road favorite, minus 200 or greater on the money line this season. However, most of those games happened earlier in the season when the Oilers were struggling, and 2 of those games were on the second half of a back-to-back. So I think that is important information. Of course, the Oilers aren't struggling anymore. The Oilers have the best goal share since November 1st, according to Evolving Hockey, driven by the fact that they have scored the most goals per 60 minutes, and only 4 teams have allowed fewer goals per 60 than the Oilers during that stretch. And of course, their underlying metrics are very strong. Nick, Edmonton ranks 4th in expected goals for and 2nd in expected goals against per 60 minutes. They also rank top 5 on the power play, 28.2%, and penalty kill, 85.2% since November 1st. Calvin Pickard, he started both games versus the Penguins last season. He allowed just 1 goal on 64 shots. So I thought he might get the start here today, but obviously the matchup coming up against the Chicago Blackhawks, probably a better spot to start Pickard. So it'll be Stuart Skinner who starts on Thursday. He's 2-0 in his career versus the Pittsburgh Penguins with 0.99 goals against average. Yeah, Connor McDavid, he also seems to love playing against the Penguins. McDavid has 9 goals and 18 assists in 15 career games against Pittsburgh. And yeah, this is all bad news for the Penguins. The Oilers have gone 8-2 against Pittsburgh in the last 10 meetings, and it hasn't been close. As we talked about yesterday, Pittsburgh hasn't defeated Edmonton in the last 7 matchups dating back to December 20th. 2019. Yeah, Pittsburgh recently they dropped all 3 games on their recent road trip. They lost to Detroit, Florida, and Carolina before returning home to blow a 3-1 lead against the Blue Jackets, which I know you were very happy about because you had the over in that game. So that comeback certainly helped cash the total there. They will have 1 game time decision heading into tonight's game. Evgeny Malkin could return to the lineup after missing 1 game with an upper body injury. He's been pretty productive this season. He's got 32 points in 41 games, but he's struggled to find the back of the net here. He has 8 goals on the season, but he's only scored 3 times in his last 15 games since the start of December. Sidney Crosby has also been productive. In fact, he's the only member of the team who has scored at a point per game pace this season with 11 goals and 44 points in 42 games. But since November 7th, Crosby has scored just 5 goals in 28 games, and he hasn't fared very well against the Oilers, at least not in the Connor McDavid era. Just 3 goals and 6 assists in 16 games versus Edmonton since the start of the 2015-16 season. According to Evolving Hockey, Pittsburgh ranks 19th in both expected goals and shot attempt percentage in all situations, but 27th in goal share. Obviously a big reason for that is that only one team has allowed more goals against per 60 minutes than the Penguins. So as I mentioned yesterday, I was planning on locking in Oilers on the puck line, and I did that at plus 125 over at Pinnacle. They've won 7 games in a row, as mentioned, against the Penguins, but they've covered the puck line in all of those 7 games, winning by at least 3 goals in each of those games. They shut out the Penguins in each of the last 2 games, and they've outscored Pittsburgh by a combined score of 16-3 in their last 3 trips to Pittsburgh. So this has been a pretty one-sided matchup. But I also have a player prop that I like in this game, and it's Zach Hyman to score an anytime goal at plus 184 at Pinnacle. I believe he is plus 185 at FanDuel. Those are the best prices in the market right now. He hasn't scored in his last 6 games. And of course, he isn't skating alongside Connor McDavid on the top line anymore. But I think this is a good time to buy in on Hyman. He's still on the team's top power play, obviously. He's been building chemistry with his new line mates, Jeff Skinner and Adam Henrique, who both have had some decent games recently. Henrique with that 2-goal performance in the last game. And he has 6 goals in 7 games versus the Penguins since joining the Oilers. And it's not like he's not shooting the puck. He has 15 shots on goal during this recent goalless stretch. So I think at plus 184, this is a really good time to buy in on Hyman to maybe find the back of the net. So Oilers puck line plus 125, Zach Hyman anytime goal plus 184. Nick, you got any thoughts on this game before we move on to talk about the Maple Leafs?
No, I didn't have too much here. I like your original call with the Oilers on the puck line, which you gave out yesterday. The game lines moved quite a bit, so definitely lost a little value there. But yeah, I think that's a good call. And I think the one kind of talking point that's been going on with the Oilers, Skinner's been really good. He's really kind of locked it in. I think a big part of that obviously is they're defending really well. But I feel like the Oilers' flaws are, as much as early on in the year it looked like their goaltending and defense was going to hold them back, I think they're only as flawed as, they're the Cup favorite for a reason, I think. And you can kind of poke holes in every top team right now. So yeah, feels like, and they were everyone's pick to win the Cup this year. I'm guessing odds makers don't want to see the Oilers win the Cup because I feel like everyone's been on it all summer, all year. So yeah, we'll see. They are the current favorite.
For sure. So you've wrote about the Maple Leafs game today over at the leafsnation.ca. How do you handicap this one between the Maple Leafs and the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I'm liking the over on a low total, 5.5. I know I ended up betting that over 5.5 in Philly with you. That was a tough loss. Tippett misses the empty net with a minute left there, would have cashed it. Leafs don't hit the empty net at the other end. But I think a lot of the storylines in that game we could see play out tonight. Philadelphia was able to generate a lot of chances. I think even with how good Woll has been, them scoring 2 was pretty unlikely. They gave up quite a bit. Gave up a lot versus Philly on Sunday. I don't think defensively this team's been that much better. And like we talked about, they have clearly been worse defensively in all the games where Jake McGabe has been out. So that definitely hurts. But I think from an offensive perspective, they've got Matthews back playing really well. I think the power play still has some room to grow. It's been ugly at times, but it feels like every time it gets a little ugly for 3. And I think this is just how power plays go. But I feel like you still have to expect it to be one of the better units in the league. Carolina's been a little worse defensively this season. They're not getting overly strong goaltending. So I think it's realistic that we'll see the Hurricanes able to generate a ton of chances in this game. I think a lot more than the Leafs goals against average suggests. And I think we should be able to see Carolina chip in a decent amount to this total. But I also think the way some of these Leafs top forwards are going and the way Carolina's taking a step backwards defensively, the Leafs should be able to score as well. So I'm kind of expecting Carolina to outplay the Leafs a little bit here, generate their share of chances, but the Leafs to hang in with some timely offense. So yeah, I think a total of 5.5 looks a little low to me.
I was muted. No bets in this game for me, but I definitely tend to agree with you there. So yeah, Leafs over 5.5 is probably a good look. I do have a bet on the Rangers and the Devils game that is happening tonight. We have learned that Igor Shesterkin will be returning to the crease after missing 4 games due to an injury. Obviously, he was a full participant in Wednesday's practice after joining the team for the optional skate on Tuesday. And the team confirmed this morning that he will in fact be in the crease. As a result, New York's money line odds have improved slightly from plus 145 to plus 135. But considering how little the odds have changed, I'm guessing the betting market odds makers were sort of anticipating his return to the crease, given the progress he's made over the last couple of days. The Devils have won both meetings against the Rangers so far this season. New Jersey defeated the Rangers 5-1 in New York on December 2nd, and then shut them out at home just a few weeks later on December 23rd, also putting up 5 goals. So they've outscored the Rangers 10-1 in 2 meetings so far this season. New York had won 4 meetings versus the Devils before that, though. So the two teams have split the last 10 meetings overall. New Jersey, they're arguably the best 5-on-5 team in the NHL right now, at least through the lens of expected goals. They've got a 56.3% share according to Evolving Hockey. They also rank 6th in 5-on-5 shot attempts percentage. But despite ranking 2nd in expected goals per 60 minutes, the Devils rank 18th in 5-on-5 goals for. But they do rank 2nd on the power play, have converted on 28.9% of their opportunities so far this season. And they're also really good defensively. They rank 4th in expected goals against and 3rd in shot attempts against at 5-on-5. And they've got the 6th best power play in the NHL right now. And only 3 teams have allowed fewer goals than New Jersey. Jacob Markstrom going to be in goal tonight for the Devils, according to head coach Sheldon Keefe. And he is 28-2 this season, with a 911 save percentage and a 2.17 goals against average. He's 4-1 since November 7th, though. So he's gotten better as the season has gone on. And he currently ranks among the top 10 goalies in goals saved above expected, according to Evolving Hockey. I wanted to bet on Jack Hughes to score in this game. He hasn't scored in 6 games. He's only found the back of the net one time or twice, but in 1 game in his last 10. However, he's had a lot of success against the Rangers. He scored 15 goals in 22 games against New York so far in his career in the regular season. But the last time he faced the Rangers in New York on the road, he was priced at plus 200 to score an anytime goal. And now he's listed at plus 150. And I think this is because odds makers weren't really sure that Shesterkin was going to start in this game when they were setting the lines for player props, and they took that into account. So they, shortened Hughes' odds maybe down to plus 150. But since it's been confirmed that Shesterkin has, gotten the green light to return, there hasn't been any adjustments to the player props. The money line, the puck line, the total, all of those things have been adjusted slightly, but Hughes is still sitting at plus 150. And I don't think that's a great bet against Shesterkin here. I'd like to get that 2-1 price. But I do like the Devils to win the first period here. New Jersey isn't the most potent offensive team when it comes to scoring in the first period, but they've been really good defensively. And the Rangers are among the bottom 10 teams in terms of first period goals against. The Devils have outscored New York 3-0 in the first period so far this season. And I think at plus 140 or better, it's a pretty good bet. But I definitely think people should shop around, because you can get plus 163 odds at Pinnacle and plus 160 odds at Bet365 compared to the plus 140 price at Sports Interaction. But I think that's a good look for this game. Hopefully the Devils obviously have had some scoring issues, so hopefully they can resolve that in this one. But I think they'll get out to a good start here and maybe take it to the Rangers early in this one. And I think at that price, it's a pretty worthwhile bet.
Yeah, I think too, part of the Hughes thing is everyone knows he's just absolutely owned the Rangers. So there's probably the numbers also probably just hanging or just shorter because of how many
Yeah.
people are on it, I'd imagine. I think it, and I do think that Hughes and Bratt, they've been great to me in these Rangers games this year. There's, I think, one where I had Hughes to score and the plus minus props, which I'm looking at right now, I think are kind of tempting too. He sure is at plus 140 to go to be a plus rating in this game. And I kind of like that again. Like I think him and Hughes are just such a bad matchup for the Rangers because of how bad they are defending in transition.
Yeah.
And I think they're quite unlikely to get dashed up at even strength. So, and I mean, obviously the power play goals don't count. So I feel like, again, this is not the worst spot. You can also bet Hughes and Bratt to each get a point at even money. So I think that's not a bad look as well. They both really own the Rangers. And again, I really think a lot of that, on top of just how good they've been in any matchup, I think their strengths offensively really expose the Rangers' greatest flaws. So yeah, I'm with you. I like the Devils here. I'm almost just a little tempted to bet them at minus 160. I think the Rangers have been a little better lately, but I'm still really high on the Devils, and they've really played well in these matchups. And they do have a slight rest advantage as well. So I think there's a lot to like about New Jersey here. I'm definitely not in disagreement with any of the Hughes props or anything like that, because I think obviously the Devils will be really trendy here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, the Rangers, they ranked 25th in 5-on-5 expected goals percentage, 21st in shot attempt percentage. They also grade out, poorly offensively, ranking 19th in goals per 60. But I do think they've been unlucky. Their underlying metrics, as far as offense goes, anyway, have been much better than their surface level numbers. So that's a little bit of a concern, I guess. Looks like
For
Arthur
sure.
Kaliev is going to make his debut for the Rangers tonight. And Matt Rempe, the ultimate goon, going to return from an 8-game suspension. But Chris Kreider is out still with an upper body injury. I don't know. Nick, you want to move on to, I guess, the Kraken and Blue Jackets next, maybe?
Yep. Let's do it. Absolute.
Right.
What a matchup. We got to break that one down.
Yeah, what a matchup! Only a sports better would care at all about this matchup. Or
And
Jeff Merrick.
they have
He
pretty
loves the
good
Blue
fan
Jackets.
bases too, as well.
Yeah,
And I think
for
right
sure.
now the Blue Jackets are a fun story, but
They are. Yeah, absolutely.
hopefully
I mean,
not
if they
tonight.
make the playoffs, I don't think there's going to be anybody that's going to be unhappy about that really, unless I guess you're the Montreal Canadiens, because if the Blue Jackets make the playoffs, it means you don't probably. But yeah, Columbus is certainly a fun story, and it's gonna be interesting to see what they can do in the second half here. We talked about it on yesterday's show about how while the Blue Jackets have been a pretty decent bet this season at times, they haven't been a good bet as a favorite, right? But they're now a home underdog, so maybe that is a little bit of a different look, and things have sort of changed. But you bet the Kraken yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I was pretty high on the Kraken when they were minus 105. Yesterday, we broke this one down, how I thought it had the potential to move a lot, and it has gone that way. And I think there's a lot working in Seattle's favor here. I think the Monahan loss hurts a lot. It also hurts in both ends of the ice, which works into my prop that I now like. I like Kako to get a point at plus 120. He's been playing on the top line, top power play unit, averaging almost 18 minutes of ice the last 5 games here. And I think this was a really good spot for the Kraken to get out of their little offensive slump. They have played a lot of good defensive teams lately, which has made one of the league's worst offenses look even worse, I think. So now they're facing Columbus, who've allowed the second most of goals against in the league this year. They don't have their best two-way center, who also plays on the top penalty kill. Could be without Cole Sillinger as well. So I think that hurts their defensive upside a lot. I think we're going to see the Kraken be able to own a lot of the play here. And I think they get right with a win. But yeah, as of obviously that number's moved a little bit. I think there's still minus 120s out there, which I would put a half unit on. And then yeah, I like Kako to get a point at plus 120.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before going live here today, and just earlier when you were breaking down the Maple Leafs game, I was locking in a half unit bet on Adam Fantilli to score a point at plus 130. That's available at Bet365. Betway also has I think it's Betway. It's either Betway or Bet99. One of those sports books has plus 125. So those are the places where you would want to bet Fantilli to score a point, because at some sharper sports books like Pinnacle, for example, they're down around the even money mark, right, at minus 107, I believe, and a lot of other sports books are around minus 105 or even money. So you're getting a lot of value on this prop that has seemingly not been adjusted over at Bet365, where it has been adjusted at a lot of other sports books. So if you can get that plus 130 price, I think that's worth a shot here tonight. I mean, I know, like you said there, Seattle probably going to own the play for the most part, and the Blue Jackets might have a little bit of trouble finding the back of the net. But with Monahan out, Fantilli moves up to the top line. And he'll be centering the top power play unit as well, so he'll have his opportunities for sure. And I think that plus 130 price is worth a shot.
Yeah, I think I kind of buried the lead too. We talked about a lot yesterday, but Decord is expected to start. I definitely wouldn't play the current number if we do see Grubauer.
No.
That's a big part of it. We talked yesterday about how Decord's 12-9-2, so the Kraken have been really respectable when he has actually played. Whereas when Grubauer's in there, I'm sure they've been one of the least profitable teams in the league. But yeah, I like the Fantilli look too. He's hot right now. He's got 4 points over the last 3 games and should see a huge usage bump in this game. So yeah, I think definitely not against that one, even though I'm personally going to be hoping the Blue Jackets don't score very many.
Yeah, talked a little bit yesterday about the Colorado Avalanche when we looked ahead to Thursday's slate, talking about the early lines, locked in a pretty good price around the minus 125 range on the Avalanche on yesterday's show. They're now around the minus 140 range at most sports books. And it looks like Minnesota could find themselves in a little bit of trouble tonight if something happens to Philip Gustafsson. So Fleury is apparently sick. Their goalie call up is also sick apparently, and or injured. I might be mistaken there. Lots of information to take in this morning, but they could find themselves in an e-bug situation here tonight if something does go wrong in the crease and Fleury can't back up. So we'll see what happens there, but I certainly would not be laying the minus 140 on the Avalanche at this point. I think that's basically where it should be, and I'm happy with my my bet from Wednesday. So that's pretty much it for me as far as bets for today. I can quickly recap. I've got the Devils on the first period spread, so minus 0.5 goals at plus 163 over at Pinnacle. I've got Zach Hyman to score an anytime goal at plus 184. Edmonton minus 1.5 on the puck line, plus 125. A half unit bet on Adam Fantilli over 0.5 points at plus 130. That's at Bet365. And then finally, Colorado minus 123 from yesterday. Nick, do you have anything else on this slate that you want to talk about as far as bets?
I'll just throw. I think even at minus 140, I'd put a smaller bet on the Avs. I really like them here. The Wild have ended up in one of the worst potential injury situations. I didn't see that Jonas Brodin got injured the other night, and his loss hurts a ton. He's their best defensive defender, but you couple that with the Faber absence and with the Spurgeon absence, you're out your top 3D man, Kaprizov, and obviously a huge game for the Avs. So who've been playing great. So yeah, it's
and who got embarrassed last night in Chicago. You don't lose 3-1 to the Blackhawks, right? And not have something to say to it about it the very next night.
Yeah, definitely. And we talked about yesterday, they played minor in that game, so they saved their best option left in Blackwood for this game. So I think a lot to like about the Avs here. I feel like they should be able to take advantage of this spot. So
minor setback.
I'm pretty high on them. Yeah, and I mean they had some tough puck luck in that game. Not there
for sure.
Anytime you lose the Hawks, you're not thrilled, but it definitely could have gone a little better. Yeah, I think the last one. So I guess I'll just recap quick, and then we can go into what we like tomorrow. But I like the over 5.5 in the Leafs game. I like the Kraken to win and Kako to get a point at plus 120, and I like the Avs as well. So I think we got a good slate there.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't you have another one? Didn't you Lehkonen?
Exactly this. Oh yes, Lehkonen to score.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's plus 230, right?
It was plus 230 when I wrote. It might be a little less now because I think the Avs money line has come down. So I'm sure that's probably ticked down. But oh no, it's still plus 230 on Sports Interaction. So good stuff there.
Okay, right on.
And yeah, I guess to go into that one a little bit there, he did play on the top line yesterday. I played point and 3 shots, so got the shots, didn't get the point. He had 5 shots on goal. He doubled anyone else on the Avs in expected goals in that game. And that top line played 17 minutes. And I think it's realistic that we see them play a ton of minutes again in tonight's game based on who's out for the Avs with Nichushkin and Drouin. I think you could wait until warmups to make sure they are going to keep that line together.
Yeah.
But I thought they were quite good. And I feel like it is kind of just the natural way to configure things, unless maybe they decide they'd rather kind of opt to have 2 more effective units. So that's probably worth keeping in mind. But I think based off the way they played, they'll probably keep that line together. And Lehkonen is a good bet. He had so many chances last night. That was part of the Avs losing that game, was he couldn't finish anything. But I think in this spot, like we talked about, the Wild's defensive upside, I think, is reduced a lot. And it's an important division game where we should see that top line play a lot of minutes. So yeah, I think there's a lot to like about going back to Lehkonen tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as Friday goes, we've got 5 games on the slate: Chicago, Detroit, Vancouver, Carolina, Montreal, Washington, LA, and Winnipeg, and San Jose and Utah. And I did just see before we went live that Patrick Laine is not going to be traveling with the Montreal Canadiens on this road trip. So that is definitely worth noting. The Canadiens' best price out there right now, plus 190. But a lot of sportsbooks down around plus 175 or lower. So I would say that if you are interested in betting Montreal on Friday against the Washington Capitals, that you might want to wait for that one, because I think if anything, the odds will move towards Washington given where they're at right now. I haven't had a whole lot of time to look ahead to tomorrow's slate. So I will save what I have, I guess, for whatever I write on dailyfaceoff.com tomorrow. But it sounds like you might have something that you want to get out there and look ahead to, Nick.
Yeah, I like the Canadiens at plus 190. I feel pretty confident that one will come down. They're not going to start Montembeault, which it's not great. He hasn't been at his best. He didn't play very good versus Vancouver, but the Capitals are really coming down to earth. I bet on the Canucks yesterday at plus 160. It's been the kind of bet that's been killing me, because I think that I couldn't hear any arguments about why they weren't the right bet at plus 160. They probably deserve to win inside regulation, and they go on to lose in overtime. And it's just been a tough stretch for the Caps. They're 6-4-2, which is obviously not bad by any means, but they've been getting outplayed pretty heavily. And I thought that Vancouver spot was really telling, because it really felt like the team was up for the game, and they were. I don't think it was like a lack of intensity or anything like that. And they might have been a little better than the shots on goal total suggested, but overall their process has really come down to earth. I think a lot of the big names and guys on the back end are struggling. Strome's been a lot worse. Ovechkin's not been. He was hanging in respectably at even strength earlier in the year, but now he's fallen off pretty badly. And it's really just been that Protas-Dubois duo that's been good up front. The rest of the team's really taken a big step backwards. And then I think everyone knows Montreal's obviously been playing a lot better of late. They've been off since Monday entering this game. So I think plus 190 is way too long. I'm expecting to see that number come down. I think we'll see another, close competitive game. And yeah, I'm just not expecting the Caps to look like a minus 230 favorite at all in this matchup. So
no, I agree with you there with the plus 190. I was just kind of saying before that, maybe wait till some sports books populate that are offering a similar price, because if you aren't in a jurisdiction where you can bet at DraftKings, then you're betting a much shorter price, right, at plus 170 or something
for sure.
like that. So
and I think
maybe wait and see what other sports books open a little bit later this afternoon when Pinnacle puts their odds up for the game. They'll probably be closer to where DraftKings is at. So yeah, maybe that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I got what you're saying. Like, I think what'll happen, you'll have a window today where there'll be a good chance to get in on wherever you're at on the Habs at plus 190. But I think by game time, they're going to be much shorter than that, because I'm not seeing this number at all.
Yeah, for sure. And we could see a Charlie Lindgren start as well. So that could,
based off the way they've alternated, it is his start, but everyone also keeps thinking at some point you're going to be like, okay, one guy's 60 or 17, 2-2. They've gotten, I think it's
Yeah.
like 36 out of 42 possible points with Thompson in goal. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, it's been wild. But based off the way they've done it, it is going to be a lingering start.
All right, man. Well, another great show today. I appreciate it as always, and we'll be back next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, to break down all the hockey action. Of course, we'll have coverage across the Nation Network on dailyfaceoff.com, Oilers Nation, Flames Nation, the Leafs Nation, and Canucks Army throughout the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, of course. But we will be back right here on the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel on Tuesday. Until then, good luck with your bets, enjoy your weekend, and gamble responsibly.